Welcome to Fantasy Fanline.
What is up, everybody? It's a little lonely in here today. It's just me, but I'm back, man. I have to be back. We have 2 weeks, 2 weeks to go until the fantasy championships. We're in the semifinals now. Uh, Thanks for tuning in to Fantasy Fanline. Can't wait to do this show. Unfortunately, Sinker had an emergency at home and couldn't make it, so I'll try my best to step up to the plate today and do as good as he does, which is going to be hard because he does a great job and nobody can replace him. So I'll have to put in double the work today. But as I said, I can't leave you guys hanging. All our loyal watchers, our listeners, everyone who checks us out, shows us love, support. I had to be here for you. We're going into a very important week of fantasy football, and let's just get right into it. So luckily I do have a guest on the show today. It's just not me by myself talking for an hour. We have it was supposed to be somebody else on the show who couldn't make it, so I got a referral from Craig Schmucker. He said one of his friends could be in here, and I said send him my way. Let's do it. I'm excited to have him on, and we're gonna get down to it. So he's from TBQ Sports. Nick Wilcox, ladies and gentlemen. Nick, nice to meet you, man. I appreciate your time and for hopping on Fantasy Fanline, and welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Appreciate the welcome. Let's get it going. This is semifinals, so you brought in someone that's very, very familiar with trying to win championships, with trying to get to the finals. You got someone right here. So this is going to be a really great show. I hope everybody's tuning in. Hope people's got a lot of questions. We're ready to get this thing going because honestly, here to help y'all win some championship gold, whether it be now getting into the finals. We out here. So pleasure to be here. You know, I've been playing fantasy football for the last 15 plus years. Also a DFS player. So it's just, if any angle you're looking to get at when it comes to certain start-sit matchups right now, when it comes to guys that might just be fluttering still on the waiver wire, let us know because now is the time. Now you can't be, for lack of a word, pussyfooting around. Now is the time to make sure you're locked in, you're focused, you're getting every little lineup piece of your lineups right there where you need it because of all the injuries, all the replacements. So let's get into this, man. Let's get it.
It says it right there under your name. full of greatness. We're here to provide greatness. We're here to win some championships. Our view count's a little low right now. It's okay. I'm assuming you guys got knocked out. Don't blame it on us. But Joe from Boston.
Tell them to like the video and sub while they wipe their feet at the door.
Wipe your feet at the door. Joe from Boston, if you're listening. Unfortunately, the phone lines will be down today because Sinker runs all that. And I didn't have time to set it all up on my computer. So the phone lines are down. But Joe from Boston, I was thinking about you all weekend with Devin Singletary when we told you to play him. He had himself a little game, and I'm hoping you won your matchup there. So if you are here on YouTube or something, give us a sign, Joe. I'm still thinking about you in that matchup, brother. But let's get into it, man. Let's talk about a running back who's been out for a little while and supposed to come back this week, Isaiah Pacheco. And the question is, how do we feel about Isaiah Pacheco this week? And if Clyde Edwards-Helaire, is he still worth a flex play if Pacheco is active? Nick, welcome to the show, man. I'll let you take this one from the get-go.
Perfect. Let's get it. So Isaiah Pacheco, and coming into the year, we were somewhat sure about Pacheco and his role. We knew he was going to be a first and second round thumper type of guy, and we knew he was going to get some potential touchdown work. With this Chiefs offense, let's be real about this. Besides Kelsey, we don't feel great about it. Besides Rashee Rice now, especially in the last 3 weeks, we don't really care about anybody else until Pacheco. Because Pacheco is the guy that is the thumper. When the Chiefs are up, they're going to look to run the ball with him. So game script wise, fits perfectly for Pacheco. Obviously, he missed the last couple games because of a shoulder injury. Now he gets the Las Vegas Raiders, who pretty much bleed rushing yards. And in the first matchup they played, Pacheco killed them on 15 carries, 2 scores, and he had 5 catches, 34 yards through the air. Like, you're definitely starting him with extreme confidence in a game flow script that could see the Chiefs potentially, beating them down just like they did before. I know earlier in that game when they played them a couple weeks ago, the Raiders, they were kind of down in that game a little bit, and then all of a sudden, midway through the second quarter, it turned it on, and that was it. Kind of see the same thing happening. I know the Raiders are in a spot where they got to continue to play hard to even think about a playoff spot. But honestly, if you have Pacheco, if he's somehow on your waiver wire, maybe someone dropped him because they had to, whatever, that's a person that you definitely want in your lineup, and I feel really confident in, not only because of the game that they had against them a couple weeks ago, but just because the game flow is going to script up perfectly for him. And it's going to be where, again, the second part of this question was CEH, and you still work flex play. I don't think so. The only way he is, and this would be something where you'd have to have a actual magic lamp to tell me that, hey, the Chiefs get up like 35-0, and then CEH just takes over, maybe scores a touchdown late or whatever, and that's how he does it. That could still happen. It's fantasy football. But the likelihood and a projection of CEH actually, either splitting the work with Pacheco or whatever, that's not happening. Even when CEH was splitting with Jerick McKinnon was still getting the high-value touches at the goal line. So I think that to answer this question, clearly, Pacheco is 100% a start, feeling confident about him. And if you have CEH, he's definitely droppable.
You hit the nail on the head with that one, bro. Everything I wanted to say, you crushed. Pacheco's in my lineup, especially against the Raiders. It's just a great matchup. I know, people are going to be worried coming back off the injury, and CEH did look good. Did look good against New England, filling in for Isaiah Pacheco, and but I just can't put him in my lineup if Pacheco is active. If I hear Pacheco is active, I'm with you. CEH is droppable. Put Pacheco in, and hopefully the Chiefs don't get up too much where CEH does start getting some serious burn. But that's the one thing that does scare me, that he did look good the last game. Maybe Andy Reid wants to ride like a little bit of a hot hand while they ease him in. But I'm with you, man. This is semifinals. I'm playing Isaiah Pacheco if he's healthy, and there's nothing else there is to that. CEH is not going to be in my lineup if Pacheco's healthy. So maybe throw him in some of your DFS lineups, because you know how that goes. He'll probably score 3 touchdowns. Now that I'm telling you to bench him, because it is fantasy football, and that's why we love it, the mystery. But the logical thing to do is play Isaiah Pacheco and stay away from Clyde Edwards-Helaire if Pacheco's active. So Nick, thank you for all the insight there and all the stats. Have some people actually in the chat now. My buddy Steve Smith, good luck this week, SaunchY. May the luckiest team win. That's fantasy for you. I'm against my buddy in a semifinals matchup myself. I may or may not have Isaiah Pacheco in that league. So, and then Cam Welch, good to see you in here, man. Keep killing it, my guy.
Just for fun, Pacheco is a 6,400 running back for the Monday night 3-game slate on DK. So, just for fun.
Yeah. Cam chimes in saying, can't sit the guy who runs like Isaiah Stewart, especially with that little guy getting carries in the backfield. Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco, he's in your lineups, and we're moving on. We have a sit-start question that rolled in. This one's rough. Nick. I hope you're ready for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Lost Jamar Chase, and he's wondering who he's going to start. Who he's going to start. Waiver wire is looking dim, apparently, and here are his options for a semifinal playoff matchup. It's Odell Beckham Jr. at San Fran. That's the night game on Christmas, I believe. Romeo Doubs, Carolina. Wicks at Carolina. So 2 Green Bay receivers. I think there's some injury news I saw today about one of them. I think Wicks, maybe. I'm not too sure. I have to double check on that. And then Alec Pierce at Atlanta. So yeah, far from sexy, far from confidence here. You're not feeling any confidence playing any of these guys, but oh man, I think I'm going OBJ. I mean, I'm reading the news that Flowers is banged up. Wasn't I saw on Reddit he was in someone said he was in a walking boot. I don't know how viable that source is, but Flowers being banged up. San Fran is a great team. Lamar's gonna have to throw, right? We're gonna have to throw to win that game. I feel it's not pretty. I wouldn't feel too confident rolling Odell Beckham in the semifinal matchup, but out of these four, I think that's who I'm rocking with here, Nick. I'm curious who you would pick here.
Yeah. For context, would love to know if it was a half or a full. But yeah, this is tough because
We'll say full.
we'll say full. Okay. Because I asked that because this is tough because the I don't mind Odell, but the problem is just can Odell just give me some consistency?
Not
Like
anymore.
this guy got at least what do you get? 1 year, $15 million contract. Can you just show me some consistency? Like seriously, like
For real.
I understand game script wise for the Ravens last week was a little bit out of touch, and that's probably it. You're hoping San Fran at least is a plus matchup against the receivers. The problem I have with starting him is that the Odell can literally just do the same thing he did this past week, and a Monday night game,
2 points.
where
2
it's
points.
like, one catch, 14 yards, and yeah, Flowers I heard wasn't. Yeah, I didn't hear about the walking boot, but I know that Harbaugh's not concerned about him. But even Bateman was getting some decent targets in that game, and the start of the game as well. It wasn't like they were going to Odell so early; they were going after trying to get Bateman the ball early. So that's also concerning because you already know the Ravens don't throw the ball as much, and if Odell doesn't have a lot of this target share, you're like, man, all right, this sucks. Alec Pierce is interesting against Atlanta, but honestly, like, can we really see a game script where Pierce is going to be featured enough to give you a solid start? I don't see it. Back-to-back weeks of at least 90% of the target share. I mean, of the snap percentage, and he hasn't done barely anything with those. So definitely a no. So it comes down to me. It came down to Odell and Wicks for me. Okay. And I say Wicks because people most likely don't really know who Dontavius Wicks is. And honestly, I didn't really know about him for the first 9 weeks of the season either. The only reason I would definitely potentially start Wicks in this situation over Odell is because the Packers are going to have to throw eventually. Aaron Jones he's not Aaron Jones fully yet.
Questionable again.
The target share between him. So I guess if I'm going to pick somebody, it's Wicks if Watson is out. If Watson's in for some weird reason, I don't see him playing. I don't see Watson playing this week because Watson, he's shown this constantly over and over again with his hamstring that he's not reliable. So yeah, I mean, I'm starting Wicks. Going on a little bit of a limb here per se because Odell has been a little bit more better, but I think Watson sits, and I think Wicks because of what he can potentially do. Like this past game, was obviously the best game of his season. I think it's something where Green Bay is finally finding some continuity with the receivers, their young core, and that's what it comes down to for me. An offense that's going to have to throw. I know Carolina's been pretty decent against the pass all year long, but I don't think they're going to ride Aaron Jones for 18, 20 carries consistently. You probably see 12 to 15 carries rushing for Aaron Jones just to keep things balanced. But I think Jordan Love is able to at least target the slot, and that'll be with Wicks. So I'm starting Wicks over Odell. If it turns out that Odell just has a better game, it is what it is.
It's a hard choice.
These are tough, especially because, we could see a game script where Odell, gets featured because they're down. But it's still a game where it's going to be a little bit more balanced. Both teams still want to run the ball. It's on Monday night. So it's definitely a rough question, but I would take Wicks.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair, and all these plays are extremely risky. I know how it is when the waiver wire has no one left. But you mentioned Bateman; he's only 16% rostered. If I just say I just threw Bateman on this list, pick him up and play him after he got involved early last game. Are you picking Bateman? Or are you still rocking with Wicks?
I would still rock with Wicks for the moment. because Bateman. The difference because the Bateman I'm used to seeing is not the Bateman I'm seeing this year. The Bateman of at least of last year when he was flashier, he was getting deeper shots downfield. Like he was definitely working the coverage. It seemed like he was kind of just an intermediate Zay Jones-ish type of guy this past week and what it's been lately for Bateman. It just hasn't really shown that ceiling game. So at least with Odell or Wicks, it's like these guys could potentially have a solid game for you. Same thing you could say about Alec Pierce, but he doesn't get the ball consistently. So
For sure.
it's it's Pittman and Downs in that offense, and then JT because he most likely is coming back this week. So there's that.
There you have it, listener. We narrowed it down to two. I like OBJ. Nick likes Wicks. Either one is disgusting, and you have to pray to the fantasy gods for that one. But I hope you make the right choice. Cam chimed in. Game script says Ravens 9 should have a lot of points. I'll go OBJ against the 21st ranked fantasy D versus wide receivers. It's a great point, Cam.
Yep.
Appreciate the knowledge.
Problem with that either.
Yeah. You're gonna rock OBJ. You're gonna rock Wicks, and I'll be rooting for you, bud. I hope you make the right choice. That's a close call and a rough choice to make in a semifinal matchup, but it's the name of the game. We have a sit-start tight end question. This one's interesting. Which tight end should I play? Dalton Schultz, Darren Waller, or Tucker Kraft? Tucker Kraft's look good, but what's up with Musgrave? I gotta look into that. Is he coming back?
I thought he was placed on the IR last time I saw.
Oh yeah, moves on to
to the
rehab.
IR.
He's done,
He was
right? He's
definitely
done.
done. Yeah, he was done for
All
the
right.
year.
So Kraft is definitely interesting.
Yeah,
Darren
Kraft's been
Waller.
playing the last couple of weeks, so
Yeah, he's been playing pretty well. That's why we're here to answer these hard questions. Damn. All right. Well, Darren Waller came back. Wasn't great. Let me see. Sleeper's bugging. Hope I'm not losing internet. No, we're good. We're good. Here we go. Yeah, it wasn't great. 42% of the snaps. They said he would ease him in.
yeah,
Six targets, 4 catches, 40 yards. I mean, that's
not terrible for what they were
yeah.
eased into. You know what I'm saying?
42% share.
Yeah.
That's not horrible for a tight end. Philly in a game that they should absolutely roll my Giants. Unfortunately, the Giants will be down and they will need to throw to anyone who they can throw to. And they haven't been great against tight ends, so I actually kind of like Waller. Let's go with Tucker Kraft here. We just talked about them against Carolina. He's been over 10 points the last few weeks, especially if there's no Christian Watson, as we said. He can be an interesting play. And Dalton Schultz, he was finding that chemistry with Stroud, but he's back, but Stroud's not back. They're saying he's gonna miss a game. I think
he's been officially ruled out.
He's been officially ruled out. Yeah, I think I'm gonna lean away from Dalton Schultz. I think I'm playing Darren Waller. Against the Eagles. It might be a little biased. It might be a homer play, but as I said, the Giants should be down. They should have to throw the football, and Philly hasn't been that special guarding the tight end. So out of these three, I think I'm leaning Waller. It could be a homer pick, but let me hear who you like out of these three. Nick.
No, I think Waller is the easy one. And the only reason why I say it's easy is because it's Waller, and it's because we know that there's a great ceiling. Although the Giants have just been really miserable when it comes to just getting anyone the ball this year offensively, you just got to bank on that. You drafted Waller for a reason. If you're still in this situation, if you're still in a championship form, if you're getting to a title game, you're going to need a guy like Waller to at least, all right, if the first game was just a shake-off game and he got 6 targets, this offense needs him badly. And they're going to feature him. They're not going to feature, they're not featuring these other receivers consistently. We know with Waller, even if it was with Daniel Jones, they'll be looking to feature Waller. The last time we saw Waller before this last game, 7 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. He has best game of the year. So you just got to kind of bank on all the things you said, Steve, when it comes to game flow. Giants will most likely, unless the Eagles just really crapped the bed this week, game flow-wise will be down. The intermediates, and the short areas for the secondary for the Eagles, like it's just the secondary for Eagles has been really terrible this year. Honestly, they've been like bottom 5 when it comes to this type of category because they play a lot of man to man. You're gonna play man to man against Waller. Good luck. Kraft is still a fine play, and Schultz because they're both of those guys will still have opportunities to get possessions in their offense. It's just more of like, do I want to? If I'm going all the way at tight end position where I only have to start one player, I could afford to at least start Waller and be like, all right, I'm going swinging for the fences at tight end. Where I know if Waller sat on my bench and he scored 2 touchdowns, and he had it, like I said, you'd be kicking yourself and you'd be thinking about it all year long in 2024. We don't want you to do that. So at least if Waller comes out and busts, it's like, all right, like it's Waller. It is what you could make. You could be okay with that risk management wise versus like if you put him on your bench and he goes off and you're like, I should have started him. I drafted him for a reason when it was like 5th round. So you'll be telling yourself more excuses if he goes off on your bench versus if he doesn't in your lineup.
I'm with you there. I'm definitely with you there. I would be kicking myself if Waller had a huge game and I didn't have the balls to start him. But you wasted that late 3rd, early 4th draft capital on him. Obviously that has not paid off. Obviously that was a bust, but you managed to get to the semifinals.
Yeah, if you managed to get to the semifinals, you still had him. You picked him up or something like that. Someone dropped him, you picked him up. Like that's genius.
All that bus talk goes out of your head as soon as he has a monster game to get you into the ship, right? Like that's how I would act. I'd be like, all right, I missed on that early on. He was getting hyped up. Obviously there's injury concerns. We ignored him. It happened again, but he's healthy now, and it's a good matchup in the game the Giants should be down in, as we said, and that was an easy one. It's unanimous. Darren Waller. We're risking it for the biscuit. He's in our lineups out of these 3 at the tight end position. Let's keep it rolling with tight ends. A lot of tight end questions that came in.
Figures.
This one's another set of 3 guys. Isaiah Likely, Darren Waller, or Cole Kmet. This one's a little trickier. Like this one, we still like Waller. We just talked about Waller, but Likely's been Andrews has been hurt. He's been Lamar's go-to tight end. His tight end 1. He's had 2 really damn good games in a row. At San Fran's not great. But we just talked about the Ravens and OBJ maybe having a positive matchup there. So Likely and Kmet just his Fields guy too. Like these are 3 solid options at a position that really sucks. So this is kind of like a more of a roll the dice for me. I'd be okay with starting any of these guys. I think I lean Likely over Darren Waller as much as we just said we like Waller out of the last bunch, just because Lamar's got that chemistry with him. It's a tougher. This is so hard, man. This is what we sign up for. These hard questions.
Oh yeah, bring it on. I mean,
should I draft Christian McCaffrey at 1? Oh yeah, he's great. This is not that. This is definitely far from that. I'm gonna rank them Likely, Waller, Kmet. That's just it's very close. It's very close. You can go either way, and I'm curious on how you rank them.
Yeah, I mean that was what I was gonna say. This is gonna be more of a tier ranking situation than it is like you're bona fide just picking one player here. My tiers go like this. It goes Likely, Waller, Kmet, and it's because as much as we like Waller, it's not. You still have another option in Likely to where he can still provide a solid floor for you with a decent ceiling. Always like players like that for the playoffs versus like a guy like Waller who could potentially crash and burn on you, but could also give you a great ceiling. Because it's like you feel good with Likely. If you're okay, if Likely gives you 15 PPR points again and then Waller ends up getting you 18, or Waller ends up getting you 20, that could still live on your bench. You could still be okay with that. But game script wise, yes, everything but for both Likely and Waller should fit for both of these guys to get possessions with targets. And with the Ravens in particular kind of just struggling really where to go to where the offense goes, like this could be another week where Likely ends up, doing good things for you. There's a case for Kmet, but not against these 2 guys. Kmet's been fine.
Great matchup, Arizona.
It's just the only thing I have with him. It's like it's either he gives you a touchdown or 2 or nothing. And I don't want that. That's just too volatile at this time of the year. So if you have all three of those guys, yeah, I mean, you can make a case for Waller over Likely, like we just talked about. But if you have Isaiah Likely, I think, especially where sometimes Monday night matchups are a good thing when you have a good player. Especially when you have 3 games on Monday night, or Monday day, I should say.
That Christmas,
Christmas,
the Christmas slate, yeah.
Keep on. It's weird. Christmas on a Monday.
It is weird.
Anyway, get some good food, some drink. Yeah.
Whatever you get it. I can't wait. I got some, got football on one screen, NBA, just chilling. I can't.
Yep.
I'm pumped for it, man.
NBA on the laptop, football.
Yeah, can't wait. Gonna slam some bets and have a great time. Hopefully, we're all winners. But Thomas Stewart, man, there you go. Likely Waller Komet. That's how we all rank them. But we'll move. We got someone in the chat. Semifinals. Congratulations. Start 2, sit 1. Pittman, Rashee Rice, or Scary Terry. I'm playing Pittman and Rice without looking too much into it. I know Scary Terry just had a monster game, but he had a goose egg before his bye week, which was only 2 weeks before that. And, as bad as the Jets been, he's going to get matched up with Sauce Gardner, and they have a pretty solid secondary. So I'm not feeling Terry McLaurin against the Jets in before he scores 3 touchdowns for 150 yards. But honestly, I'm staying in the flame with Pittman and Rashee Rice, Tom. It didn't take much extra thought from me to think that out of those 3 names, I'm rocking Pittman and Rice. I guess you could make a case for Terry. He had a monster game, but as I said, that goose egg 2 weeks ago, and now he has a tougher matchup with Sauce Gardner in that secondary. Nick, you rocking with Pittman and Rice, or you have a case for Terry?
This is an easy one. It's just, Pittman and Rice. I wouldn't say it's not close. The only thing that would be really interesting is Jacoby Brissett going to start the game? Because if Jacoby Brissett starts the QB, I'd be a little bit tempted to start Terry McLaurin and Pittman. Because, look, Terry McLaurin didn't do anything really up to that point until Howell left the game. That's where McLaurin, because I was watching it, that's when McLaurin started feasting. And I was like, whoa, what? Where is this guy all season? Wait, a quarterback that can actually give his number 1 receiver volume? Washington has been terrible for receivers all year long.
So bad.
Samuel, Jahan Dotson, they barely get a little bit of Thomas the ball. Like, it's just – and nothing against Eric Bieniemy. But that's not Kansas City, bro. Like, just get the best players the ball, which is Terry McLaurin. Get him the ball. Hello.
I'm with you.
We have to get their best receiver the ball. 12 targets? Like, this is great. But I digress. With Jacoby Brissett, that's what I'm saying. Like, if he starts the game against the Jets, that would be interesting. But I probably isn't. So, yeah, like, Pittman and Rice. Just got to watch for Pittman because I know he's questionable at the moment. And I know he draws a matchup potentially against A.J. Terrell. A.J. Terrell pretty much shuts down a lot of receivers, wide receiver ones. So just be careful about that. But, yeah, that's a bad spot, especially if Pittman can't go because then you'll have to start Scary Terry, which, again, gets
he was
the Jets.
limited to that.
Gets the Jets.
So,
yeah, that's bad. Yeah, because, Pittman left the game. He left the game with what do you leave that game with? He left the game concussion. So the good news is he logged a limited practice today. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I mean, look, Pittman and Rice, and we don't got to talk about Rashee Rice. He's been freaking baller lately.
He's in. He's got to be in.
Again, like basically Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, and all the Kansas City cardio receivers, I like to call them. Because all they do is just run routes and they don't even get the ball. So yeah.
Kadarius Toney handing off interceptions to the other team, or
blowing the game-winning drive because you line up offsides. Like,
I'm a Giants fan, so I don't mind to see.
I'm a Jets fan, so yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm
terrible.
A lot of my friends. At least Rodgers is going to practice. I'm glad they're not putting him out there when it's meaningless.
Yeah, just don't do that. I was never a fan of that.
That's so stupid. But
never a fan of that from day one. Everyone's saying he's a prima donna now because he's getting all the shine. It's like, well, the Jets aren't doing anything, so might as well glorify him. You're paying him all his money.
Yeah. I'm rooting for a bounce back. I hope to see it. next year, and hopefully these New York teams,
Lord.
not the Bills.
So bad for Danny
Jersey,
Jones. That's even worse than Aaron Rodgers. But no one's talking about it.
we'll talk about it another time. I'll start getting depressed. We got to answer some questions. We got Tom Stewart. He's got a start three, sit one. A lot of great running backs here. Brees Hall, Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker, and Kyron Williams. Well, you're not benching Kyron Williams.
Yeah. Boy,
Kyron
wow.
Williams is
Where
in
the hell
there.
did he come from all season long?
He's a late
Lord,
first, early second round pick next year,
Terrible.
it looks like. So Kyron Williams got to be in. Kenneth Walker had a really really solid game against Philly. And
Yeah, because Philly normally
too.
is good against the run, but they had some opportunities that Walker just took advantage of. Makes sense.
He's at Tennessee. Yeah, I think I'm gonna bench Barkley as a Giants fan. I know Brees Hall hasn't been great, but I love his matchup with Washington. I really do love that matchup, and I hate Barkley's matchup against Philly. Even though we just said Kenneth Walker had a great game against a team that usually stuffs the run. We just talked about how the Giants should be down a lot of this game. We'll have to throw, and I can't believe I'm saying it to bench Saquon Barkley right now in the fantasy semifinals. That could bite me in the ass as a fan or as an analyst, but on paper, it's either I'm starting Brees Hall and Kyron Williams. I have a feeling Brees Hall is going to have a great game against Washington. I really do. I have that in the back of my mind, and I love that matchup. I'm just a Brees Hall homer. I could be wrong there. Damn, dude, hit me with some hard ones. I think I'm benching Saquon Barkley. Well, and if it's not him, Kenneth Walker at Tennessee, but he had a great game, and he's tending to another injury though. I'm reading on Sleeper here, so you have to, if that's bad news, then the question's answered for you. But definitely keep an eye on Kenneth Walker's injury. I think I'm benching Barkley though. God, that hurts to say as a Giants fan, but let me hear your thoughts, Nick. Right?
It is a tough one. Because I've been back and forth about it. And the players, I'm back and forth on it. Kyron obviously you start him no matter what. That's just what that is. So it's Hall, Barkley, Walker. Walker had a solid game against New Orleans, Tennessee. Tennessee's been really great against the run all year long. They're a pass funnel team. So especially if Geno Smith is healthy, they're going to want to take advantage of all of that.
Sure.
But I know Barkley had a bad game, but I got to roll with Barkley, at least for one of these spots. And it's because it's just you're hoping that when starting Barkley, that he gets more of this the passing work here. He gets more targeted in the passing game, if anything else. I can understand he gets stifled by the great run defenses and stuff like that. But more of the game plan, definitely should be getting him more involved in that. The screen game, the intermediate routes. That's where Barkley is should be taking advantage more of. So I definitely like Barkley. So it comes down to Hall or Walker. I'm going to start my guy Hall against Washington because I think the matchup's going to be great. Zach Wilson's still in concussion protocol. So they're talking about Trevor Siemian, who Trevor Siemian looked okay, but you're hoping that he can get this offense moving still in a way that Hall can get some touchdown opportunities and score. So you're definitely hoping for that. And the same thing goes for Hall. The difference why I'm walking with Hall and Barkley over Walker right now is because, dealing with the injury. He'll still be splitting work with Zach Charbonnet a little bit, still a 75-25 split. But with Hall and Barkley, these guys still should be able to give you some great RB1 upside right now at this moment, this time of the year. And I know they're, based on how they've been playing and how their offenses are, yes. But even with Walker with Geno in, it's against a Tennessee Titans team that, again, is definitely proven they're still playing. Walker just can't catch passes enough, and that's kind of always why I've dinged him a little bit down to my rankings because he can't catch the ball consistently. So, yeah, it's tough. But I'm going to go Hall and Barkley over Walker. You could definitely convince me on going Walker and Barkley or Hall and Walker, but that's how it is. I think You drafted Barkley for this moment. If you're still in this if you're in the semifinal, looking to be in the finals, you drafted Barkley for this reason. You draft him with high capital. The same thing happens with Waller. If Barkley goes off, potentially he takes a screenplay to the house, or he gets a big long run. It only takes one play for Barkley.
Sure.
So that's where that's where I'm at with it. Like, I'd be disappointed if I had sat Barkley out of those. If I sat Barkley out of all these guys and Barkley ends up going off, that's just the worst feeling.
It isn't great. And it's hard for me to sit here and say that to bench Barkley, but he had 6 receptions week 2, and since week 2 he hasn't gotten over 5. And I feel like this is a guy who should be getting 7 to 8 a game in that backfield.
Should be featured.
The Giants O-line woes and the quarterback woes. Like, why is this guy not getting more receptions out of the backfield? Like, he's an animal. Like, we've seen what he could do with these receptions. So I'm hoping they could uptick those receptions this week against Philly. I feel like they're going to need to have a 2% chance in that game, and no matter what, go G-Men. Tommy Donuts, this is a tough question. You have some great running backs here, and we hope you make the right choice, man. Good luck in the semifinals. Speaking of tough questions, Cam is back with another crazy one. Start one running back. Javonte Williams, Jalen Warren, or Najee Harris? Oh, boy. It's not pretty, Cam. It's not pretty at all.
No, it's not. It's ugly.
Let's see. Pookie Williams against New England.
It's
He's been struggling all year. Oh, man.
Definitely ugly, man.
I hate Najee Harris. I played him last week in a matchup to get to the semis in the Dynasty League. He put up 0.3 for me, and Najee Harris is dead for me. He's dead to me. I'm playing Warren. I like Warren over Harris all day. Cam says all answers are wrong and right at the same time. That is so true, man. This is gross.
I'll start with Javonte Williams. I know Denver has been weird all year when it comes to their offense, but at least I know Javonte Williams' role won't change up on me in an instant. When you start a guy like Warren or Najee, we can't know which guy is going to get more of this bulk load. It's literally a timeshare, and it's damn if I do, damn if I don't, if I start a right running back or not. It just feels like every time someone, out of these two, it feels like once someone has a great game, the other one goes off the next one. So I'm starting Javonte Williams, and I'm not going to think even more heavily on it because that's just kind of hey, I'm just going to start Javonte and not really put another thought on it, because at least with Javonte, the thing I had with Javonte going into the year was all right, well, he's going to look healthy, he's going to look decent, and he has. So he's been able to take advantage of some matchups where he's been nice. But yeah, and other times, the matchup against New England, because New England always takes away best threats. I still think they could incorporate Javonte Williams in a way that could still get him the ball in space and could still have a decent day. He has a solid, better floor than the other two options. So that's just where I'm going.
Yeah, I definitely see the argument that 2.25 yards per carry last week just makes me cringe. New England's a dumpster fire, though. Javonte could definitely roll into the end zone. So I'm with you. I'm not touching Najee after last week. I know that's recency bias, and F Najee Harris right now. I want nothing to do with him. It's Javonte or Warren for me. I feel like Warren's a little safer if you're looking for 8 to 10 points for volume. He's been pretty good at that. And then he has, would you take Brandon Cooks versus Miami over Javonte? He could start someone in the flex. Well, that came back down to earth. It looks like, right? Yeah. So
definitely.
Miami. It should be a high scoring game though. But Cooks was non-existent. He had two catches for 10 yards. I think I'm still gonna play the running back. I think it's Javonte Williams or Jalen Warren for me. Nick likes Javonte Williams. Cam, that's gross. We hope you make the right choice on that one. Good luck in the semifinals, brother. Well, we just talked about this, so we'll keep it short and sweet. Thoughts on Breece Hall against Washington? Seems like a good matchup, but I can't afford a dud in the playoffs. We both just said how we love the matchup against Washington. Obviously,
Yeah.
the quarterback play kind of sucks. He had a rough game, 18 total yards, but the Jets just got embarrassed. Division game. Miami's a good team. Washington's not. So I do like this matchup. I know you're gonna be like clenching a little bit if you start Brees Hall because he has burnt a few people all year, but he also had some monster games. And if there's any game that he could have a monster, he's an RB1 right now. He's the RB12. Like, uh, he's a beast, and he's gonna only keep getting better in his career. I love this guy, and I think he's gonna eat against Washington. So my thoughts are he's gonna have a monster. Let's put it into the manifest it. Put that into the universe.
Yeah.
But you're the Jets fan. You said you liked the matchup. Anything you wanted to add? We'll keep this one shorter.
Yeah, we'll keep this short. I mean, Washington has been ever since they let go of Sweat and Chase Young, they've been even worse defensively. So you got to just take that opportunity that this is a good matchup. The Jets are going to want to establish the run game more anyway. So I just think that Brees Hall having this matchup against Washington, like, you just got to see what happens. Like, this is the moment. Like, I always tell people these are the moments where you're like, if you spent a good amount of capital on certain guys, like, these are the moments that you drafted them for. Regardless of matchup sometimes. It's just what that is. So, I mean, look, this game's in Meadowlands, right? I believe it's in Meadowlands.
It should be.
I
I think the Jets were in Miami last time. Yeah, they're at home.
So, yeah, I mean, look, home cooking, like, looking to bounce back after a weird game. So, I mean, look, who else does the Jets really have offensively anyway? You got to think about that as well. Garrett Wilson maybe, but it can't even get him the ball. So it's, it's a bad offense, but it's also like the usage. It's like, who else are they going to, I want to know who else did he have to start too? Like, if he has to make another option. Because, like, I think Brees Hall's a great matchup, and you're starting him. Was curious if he had any other players that he was kind of starting and sitting over.
Yeah, I'm curious too, but I'm assuming it can't be a running back. In most cases, it's not a back as talented as Brees Hall, and with a better matchup than he has this week. Unfortunately, the rest of the Jets' offense is a dumpster fire, but he's a diamond in the rough there, and we both love the matchup, and we're both comfortable rocking with him.
Yep.
Justin Williams, friend of the show, guest of the show. This is a tough one, man. Can start 3 receivers. DK Metcalf, Tyreek Hill, Olave, Mike Evans. Well, off the rip, I'm not benching Tyreek Hill. I don't care if he has 1 leg, 3 fingers. Tyreek Hill's in my fantasy football lineup.
He's gonna need 2 legs. To get out there. But that you got to pay attention to the injury report for him on that for sure. Like,
I'm with you. But like, if Tyreek Hill is a go, he's a go in your fantasy lineup. He wasn't at practice today. But if they say he can play, Dallas. I think we said we're going to see a lot of points in that game. We should. I know they have a stout defense when they want to. You just can't bench Ty Hill. He's the number 4 overall, number 1 receiver. Would probably be 1 overall. He didn't miss last week against the Jets. I'm sure he would have had a monster. Did a lot of people dirty, but you still made it this far with Tyreek Hill. He's going to be in your lineup if he plays. DK Metcalf, he's been a very interesting wide receiver 20. Had that monster game against Dallas. That's why Tyreek Hill will be in your lineup no matter what the matchup is. At Tennessee, I'm playing DK Metcalf. He's been hot. He's been over. They've been giving him the ball. He's been getting his looks. He's on the field. He's a freaking freak. 6'4", 235. I'm not leaving a guy like that on the bench. Now, Olave's he missed last week, and he's coming back in. So that's a tough one, but he has a great ceiling. He was catching his groove with Carr. And Mike Evans, who's been like Mr. Incredible, first ballot Hall of Famer. Everyone was counting on that retirement tour, saying he was going to fall off. Just as consistent as they come. I think I'm benching Chris Olave, as hard as that is to sound, because he's coming off the injury. And the Thursday night games always suck. I hate playing players on Thursday night. With that being said, Puka on the other side of that game, I'm playing. Let's go, Puka. I can't bench Mike Evans. He's been so damn good. I'm playing DK Metcalf, Tyreek Hill, and Mike Evans. I hope it's a start three, and you maybe have a flex. You could put Olave in. Out of these four guys, I think I want to rock with DK, Tyreek, Mike Evans. I'm gonna sit Olave. Consider that a luxury because some people right now, like the dude starting OBJ, they would beg for Olave to be on their fantasy team, even coming off the injury. So you got a luxury here, Justin. But me personally, I'm gonna sit down Olave coming back from that injury. As long as Tyreek Hill plays. If Tyreek Hill's out again, the decision's made for you. Nick, I'm curious on your thoughts on these four guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, pay attention to Tyreek because obviously he doesn't really have that luxury because Olave plays tomorrow. But yeah, like, that's the problem here in a way because Olave plays tomorrow, and we won't know if Tyreek Hill is going to be even on the like if he
Yes,
have
that is a problem.
That's a huge problem. So Evans to me definitely because of just the rapport he's had with Baker Mayfield, like that's just pretty much a given for me. Anything else, like I said, we gotta pay attention to Tyreek. Obviously, he'd be a must start if he wasn't injured. So it comes down to me, DK Metcalf or Chris Olave, and DK Metcalf, like you said, has been solid. It's just also with Olave. The reason why I'm sitting Olave, because I'm with you, is because Derek Carr is he's just a mess, man. I've heard he's playing with all these weird anomaly injuries right now. Like apparently his rib cage is all messed up. Like so that affects the deep ball. That affects him and his psyche when standing in the pocket. And it's a Thursday game, so it's like as much as I want you to start Olave because I'm a big fan of Olave too. It just kind of sucks that Derek Carr has really just ruined all of our fantasy squads again with Chris Olave. Because remember, earlier in the season, it was because Olave wasn't even getting the ball like that. And they're like, why isn't Olave getting the ball? It's like, you can't take the deep shots. It's like, what's going on? So this whole Saints organization could just burn the hell. Ironically, because they're the Saints, right? But yeah, I mean, I digress. Metcalf, Evans, Tyreek. I'm setting Olave because again, I don't trust Derek Carr. I don't trust this Thursday matchup. And just the Saints organization is just weird. So no, I'm all set.
I'm with you. Out of these four, I'm benching Olave. With that being said, I will be playing Chris Olave in a semifinal matchup tomorrow. So I hope he balls out regardless. Come on, Chris, get it done. Let's go. But Justin also chimes in and says, would you start James Conner over Bijan, Kyron, and James Cook? And he said he could also bench one of those running backs to start all four receivers. You have a great team. I guess that's why you're in the semifinals, man. You're loaded. Bijan burnt a lot of people last week, man. What was that? But the weeks before, he was looking solid. Like he was looking like the guy you drafted to be.
Bijan,
I'm benching Kyron Williams and James Cook. He is missing practice, but he's been a monster part of that Buffalo offense rolling the way they're rolling right now.
What? So basically, he could start. So he could start James Conner or Chris Olave basically in the final flex spot.
Well, he's starting on 3 of these 4 running backs, and he said he could start 2 of them, and then play all the receivers he asked previously.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So he's in a rough. This is rough, but as I said, it's a good problem to have.
It's rough. It's rough because it's Connor, Bijan, or Olave we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Look, man. I'm gonna get a lot of slack for it, but you just gotta start Bijan. Like, imagine drafting Bijan Robinson, first round, very early second round. And all year you've been having him on your team, and it's been a really horrible roller coaster, by the way. Imagine you have him. Imagine you're in the semifinal, and you got to make a choice on his upside, among other players you got, or starting Connor, starting Olave. Like, if the other options were a bit more consistent, a little bit more solid, you could convince me. But I know I'm going down with the ship. I'm going down to Bijan Robinson ship. So if he doesn't get you to the finals, I really do apologize. But you will be upset with yourself and second guessing your life if you sit Bijan and then all of a sudden Arthur Smith comes to his, great senses that he's been to and ends up starting him and getting the usage that he once had and all that. So
breakaway touchdown, all that good stuff. We know it could happen. We've seen it.
we all know it can happen. Will it happen? Yes. So have fun deciding that. But I'll say Bijan with some good confidence because I know he had a bad game. I know he had a fumble. I know Carolina plays a very slow snail pace. So, yeah, it just didn't work out, and that's what happens. But you survived that. So I would play him again and see what happens.
Word. And not as much confidence as you, but I think I'm rolling Bijan too for where I drafted him. What I know he can do. Arthur Smith is an idiot, but maybe he comes to his senses this week.
That's an understatement that he's an idiot.
Yeah. I try to keep it PG-13. So James Cook and Kyron Williams are in my lineup. So yeah, it's like I guess it's either Bijan or Olave. He's asking, would you play Connor over Olave? I'm playing Chris Olave over Connor personally.
Yeah, we're starting Olave over Connor too. Not to say Connor can't do what he did before, like a couple touchdowns against his old squad in Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago, but it's like if Carr does get his stuff together and gets it to Olave, you be again kicking yourself. But that's why I said that's definitely a tough choice between all those guys because Connor provides a somewhat okay floor, but the Olave and Bijan they offer really good ceilings. So when I like to look at my rosters, I always like to look at certain positions, and I'm looking at okay, where can I tolerate a guy giving me a 0 to a 5 versus a 10 to a 15, 20? And it's because you need some type of ceiling in your lineups in order to beat your opponent too, in a way. Because like at tight end position, we talked about tight end a lot. Like with Waller, we're talking about Likely and stuff like that. If I'm in a position with my roster construction, let's just say I have really good, solid floor guys around me that's been proven that all season long. Now I can take a swing at a certain position. That'd be like a wide receiver 3, for example, if you start 3 receivers, or a tight end position where it's there's a onesie position. Or I don't have a great QB, but everything else is fine. I can take a swing at those positions. The point of the concept is at least having a spot available on my roster I know this play may be a little bit out of left field for floor, but if the ceiling hits, I not only just gave myself a really good shot to win, I actually won against my other opponent because of a ceiling play. Just got to think about it like that when it comes to playoffs now because everyone's going to have a decent team. You're not playing scrubs no more. So that's where you got to have a little bit more of a thinking of, I have some solid floor guys that provide a consistent 10, 15, whatever. But then I need a guy that can give me a ceiling game. And I need to take a chance on that. And if it doesn't happen, then okay. I'm still looking okay for the matchup. I'm not killing my chances of winning with this slot. But if it's again, we talked about it, it could happen. Alec Pierce can drop a freaking 60-yard bomb out of nowhere. And then that's the ceiling play that you need. So that's something that I like to look at when it comes to roster construction sometimes, especially for this time of the year where it's I just need one guy to give me a solid ceiling play to beat my opponent.
That's great stuff, man. Nick Wilcox says it under his name, full of greatness. That's the insight. The insight we try to give you on Fantasy Fanline. So Justin, after all that, we're narrowing it down. For me, it's between Bijan or Olave in your flex. Nick said he likes Bijan. He's feeling good about it. Hope you make the right choice, brother. But thanks for tuning in, dropping some great questions for your semifinal matchups, and wish you the best of luck, man. But we're running out of time, so we can take a few more. And this one seems like a good one. It's a tight end day. A lot of tight end questions.
I know, right?
I was fortunate enough.
Crystal ball betting time.
Yeah. This guy drafted some good ones. He drafted both Kelsey and Laporta,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
wants to know if he should sit Kelsey in a must-win fantasy matchup for Sam Laporta.
All right, so here's the thing. I know that's what I'm about to say is gonna be a little weird and it might be contrarian, and you can take it as it is. I don't think that's a good idea.
I'm with you.
For Kelsey, and the only reason why is because the mental factor of it, where it's like if you sit Kelsey and he goes for 3 touchdowns against a Raiders team that he's played before.
He's crushed before.
Yeah.
We've seen him crush.
Just imagine that, right? But also, Kelsey just hasn't been bad versus like the rest of the people that went around him in draft season. It's just he hasn't shown that ceiling yet. I think he has a great opportunity to do so against the Raiders this week. And with Kelsey, we're talking about a guy that literally you probably drafted first round, literally, unless you're playing a grandma league. This is again like before this past game, he's had 4 straight games of at least double digit points PPR wise. And yeah, he just hasn't gotten the touchdown game since the Philly game. So that's just where we're like, where's Kelsey been instead of third? But you can say that about a lot of the first round guys in general. But if you're this is the type of thing I tell my audience that if you had this situation for the last several weeks, you should have been trading one of these guys. You should have been trading them for a need on your team, something like that. Because this is the worst conundrum right now, where it's like you have this guy just came off 3 touchdowns, Laporta. And then
it's hard to bench someone after that.
And I'm telling you to hit him for Kelsey, who hasn't scored a touchdown in the last 5 weeks. So that's I always tell my audience, you don't want to be in these situations where you're picking and choosing such guys. And sometimes it just happens in general. You want to be prepared for injury and stuff like that, whatever. But you get such a good squad here, and it's you have depth at this position where you're basically usually only starting 1 per week. So that's the thing with that goes. But hope that advice was helpful. I would start Kelsey because it's just Kelsey. And again, who else besides Rashee Rice do the Chiefs have to throw to?
I'm with you, man. I cannot bench Travis Kelsey in the semifinals of a fantasy football matchup. I know he hasn't been what we expected him to be for weeks and weeks now, but it's Travis Kelsey. Maybe Taylor Swift won't be at the game to distract him, and he can get back to his old ways. But Travis Kelsey's not leaving my fantasy lineup no matter what the cert. If he's healthy and he's playing, he's playing on my team. There is a situation where if your flex options are rough, I don't do this often, but maybe throw Laporta in the flex. I don't know what your other options are, but it's definitely a situation where a rare situation where you could start 2 tight ends. But then again, who your flex options are. Don't start Laporta over a stud. Laporta is a stud. As we said, we're telling you to bench a guy that's coming off 3 touchdowns, but the only reason why is because it's Travis Kelsey. It's against the Raiders. We know what he could do, and the mental factor is huge, man. I just can't. I'd rather bench Laporta and he have two touchdowns on my bench, and I feel a little better about myself than if I took a guy I took in the first or early second round than Travis Kelsey and leaving him on my bench in the semifinals. That can never be me, and I'm with you. It's Travis Kelsey for us. It's closer than people think because Laporta's a dog and he's catching that flame, but best of luck to you. Congrats on drafting 2 tight ends. Next year, if you do that, as Nick said, trade one before the deadline. Don't be stuck. Don't be stuck unless it's tight end premium. Then flex them all day.
Oh yeah.
But all right, we'll get into one more because we're running out of time. But this was the last minute one from George Cruz on the IG, and it's a very good question. How do you feel about the 0 running back approach utilized by many this year, and is that a permanent trend? Well, it worked out last year, and then everyone said, you know what, it's not a pattern. It was just a fluke year. It's not going to work again. And you know what? It's kind of been working again, man. If you grab Ty Hill and then, got a guy like Hurts in that round 3 range and just waited on your running backs and got some good receivers. and then like went with Rashad White, James Cook, like guys like this later on for the zero RB strategy. Achan, who's won people plenty of weeks. I think it is a permanent trend. I think a lot of people are going to start doing that and try to, strike those late round running backs. I mean, obviously, Christian McCaffrey, he's the 1.1 next year. That's a gimme. Dude is a dog. But yeah, there's gonna be way more respect in the fantasy community for the zero RB approach, and like it wasn't a fluke. We said it before this year that it was because it worked out last year. But hey, it seems to be working out again for a lot of teams, and like that you can strike gold in those late rounds in RB. You can get a guy off the waiver wires, like Kyron Williams. Like these guys are winning new leagues. As I said, Rashad White, he was a later guy. He was like a perfect zero RB guy. James Cook, who's been catching. Yeah, it's a permanent trend. Obviously, it's not going to be what everyone wants to do. Some people are old school. They want to get their backs early. I'm still like that. I feel like it all depends on the player. It's like we shouldn't put too much into this, but it's definitely something to keep in mind that there are diamonds in the rough. You can load up late on RBs and stack up elsewhere early on. So yeah, I think the community is going to take it a little bit more seriously. Nick, we're a little over, but I want to hear your thoughts on it, man. The zero RB approach.
I'm here for the overtime. So my thing was, so this situation kind of goes to what format are you playing? Because if you're playing home league season long, where it's like 10 teams, 12 teams, you can still do the heavy RB approach. I just think zero RB approach to me now becomes. You Steve, you're a chess guy.
Played some. I used to play with my grandpa, like back in the day. I played some chess.
Right. So there's plenty of ways on the chessboard to open, right? So you have a pawn, you call it what they call, Queen's Gambit, or you open up as the Italian defense. Like this is what I look at as just another thing that we could take when we start our drafts as a way to adjust to it. So zero RB approach, the heavy RB approach, the balanced approach, the wide receiver heavy approach. Like there's these other ways that we could start our drafts to where it's not exactly one formula is going to work per se every year. It's more of just how things are going to go within your draft and then what can you get later. Like for instance, if you're in a league where you got plenty of guys that there's ways that their tendencies, what you can trade them for, yada, 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 right? And there's other times where you're playing like, an FFPC league where it's like a bunch of randoms and stuff like that and people who are in the industry, stuff like that, and then they have certain approaches. So there's different arenas and ways to think about these approaches. So I don't think zero RB is going to necessarily be like the whole strategy that people are going to run every, like it's been for so long. I just think with the times of fantasy football definitely has changed, and there's different ways that you can utilize your rosters and in ways that you can win ultimately. Sometimes again there's still things that start to apply when it comes to just the game in particular, but then there's things that you got to account for as you're playing it. Like you still got to kick up great guys off the waivers, you still have to make great trades, you still have to get guys that have decent matchups, and avoid the injury bug. So these are just still things that are still cemented into the game, but I don't think it's necessarily like a trend per se. I just think it's another piece in the toolbox that I think people need to open up their ears, and open up their eyeballs to all right, like it just won't be RB anymore. Like I go RB wide receiver, I go two wide receivers, and I can still do this approach. Like I said, just an opening chess move, opening draft board for you, how it goes for you. So that's how it is.
Couldn't have said it any better, man. I know every draft's different, and you gave our listeners a bunch of great information. We're a long ways from draft season. We're not even done with this year yet, but maybe you could if you're watching, you're listening, take some notes on that. Every draft's different, and I'll make sure to bring your point up next year when we get rolling again because you said some great stuff, man, and you said some great stuff all show. And unfortunately, we're out of time, Nick, and
okay.
I thank you for hopping on, man, and you've been great, and we hope to have you back on in our future seasons. We really appreciate your time, and I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to drop what you're about, tell the people where they can find you, and what you're about, man. Floor is yours.
At Nick_Wilcox25. Feel free to
There you
follow
go.
me there and ask any questions that you need. I'm mainly a season long guy, DFS, but also if you have dynasty questions, whatever have you, I could look to answer those for you too. Yeah, man, like at TBQ Sports, like we do well over there as well. My show every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Check us out into the Fantasy Football Zone. Got a couple more shows as well for us that we're going to be hammering out. But yeah, feel free to engage with me. I follow back. But I'm just here for the people, the community, and nothing brings me more satisfaction than giving you guys some great start sits and championship gold. Because that's why I like to try to do best.
Me too, man. Great energy, and you heard it here. Go follow Nick, and we'll have him back on the show. Nick, I hope you have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and same thing goes to all our followers. Like, just, remember to appreciate the little things. Take a deep breath. Enjoy your time off, or even if you have to work Christmas Eve, like just enjoy the little things.
I hope not.
Everyone, yeah, I hope not either. I know everyone's life's different, but no matter what, take a deep breath, show some gratitude, enjoy the games, enjoy the time spent with loved ones, and that's what the holidays are about for me. We have a great slate of football. We got some NBA. I'm gonna bet like a true DGen, and I can't wait. But we are out of time. So for Nick Wilcox, I'm SaunchY Value. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thanks for watching Fantasy Fanline. Peace.